Okay, so part two of my 3/4 year check-in. I'm trying to keep these videos 5 minutes or under because sometimes I have an issue with Facebook. So we got married. Huge, huge, huge transition there, at least for me internally. The communication, working on my communication, it's so, so, so interesting working on your communication while you're still developing your language skills, okay? And people often ask us how it is that we communicate. And the thing is, we communicate great, okay? I don't know if it's because that we're in sync or we just get each other. But I will also say this: men and women tend to speak different languages anyway. So, if you start off with that premise, it kind of makes sense. So, usually when he's communicating with me, he speaks slowly and he speaks very specifically. And if I miss something, he just tries to find another word to describe it. And there are a lot of common words in French and in English, okay? Now, the translation and the subtext of the word might be a little bit different, but, I get the message. So there's been that. So I have started the visa process, which technically it's going to take me, well, the new visa process, because now that we are married, it's a totally different subject. And also looking into transferring my driver's license, which is going to be interesting because I get vertigo every single time we get into the car. Okay, so we've got that. So that's what's happened. And one thing that I can say that has really, if I have to say what made the difference that I did differently this time in my life that's really changed things around, looking back, I really can't say I specifically did anything. Things seem to fall in line at the right time, okay? Like I say, there are just some things that will not work if you force them. Okay, for example, the school, okay? Before I even accepted that opportunity, there were so many red flags in the communication with the people. Before I even arrived at the school, there were so many red flags, and I was being pushed not just to start the position, but they seemed they seemed ignorant to the fact that I was not just starting a job. I was relocating. I had no place to live. I didn't know the area. The area has no public transportation. It was bizarre. So, and what happened too was they offered it to me. I went out to the school to meet with the officials, and then they turned around 2 days later and said, "Oh, you know what? Forget it. We're going to go with someone else. We're getting too much pressure from the school." And I was confused, and I said, "Oh, okay." So I reached out and the communication was coming from two different people. And apparently they were not talking to each other because one person said, "Oh no, we're rescinding the offer." The other person said, "No, we're not," and that was 2 days later. So it caused a lot of problems for me. So the point I'm trying to make is that there were a lot of red flags not to pursue. However, with the job was not going to work out. So I was not surprised there. But the only thing I can really, really think is that because I was in a situation where I had so much going on, and quite frankly, I was emotionally exhausted and emotionally drained, when I met the man who would be my husband, we just relaxed and hung out, and I instantly felt safe with him. I can say that right now. And now that I've gotten to know him, the most beautiful part about him is his heart. He has got the most pure and genuine heart of anyone I've ever met. As a matter of fact, I really did not think that people like him still existed. So if I can say one thing that has really worked in this past year that made all the difference was that it wasn't that I gave up, but I gave in. Okay? When he said to me, "Would you mind taking a drive and I can take you around some of the scenic spots?" I said, "Sure." Normally I'd be like, oh, where are we going? What time are we going? Oh, I need details, so on and so forth. But because there was that language barrier there, I couldn't express that. Okay. But I didn't need to because I felt instantly safe with him. He was my neighbor at the time. Okay. He lived right across from where I was renting. So, yeah. So that's a 3/4 check in. Or that's this part of the 3/4 check in.